obviously we've been watching the news, we've been reading the newspapers, and we've seen that unfortunately there's been quite a bit of a flood crisis going on in the UK, in different parts of the UK. Now, as always, my mind was doing overtime, and I thought to myself, it would be really nice to see a bunch of Muslim brothers out there helping, mashallah. So I put a request out on the social network, and alhamdulillah, had some information come back to me, and it was that Muslim Aid had indeed been successful at getting out there, mashallah. So with me to share with us this experience, we have Sultan Ahmed, and he's the fundraising manager from Muslim Aid. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sister Shalina.
So, Jazakallah khairan for coming on short notice.
No, it's a pleasure.
Now, as I said, I thought to myself, it would be really nice to see the Muslims out there as well helping. And trust me, I would have got my wellies on and got out there if I could have, Now, what happened? Because obviously everyone said that Muslim Aid are out there actually, sis. So what happened? Where did it start?
Yeah, it's a very, very good point you raised, Sister Selina. I think Muslim Aid is an international NGO, and I think in the Muslim community, the organization is quite well known. We've been around for the last 28 years, serving humanity and responding to disasters around the world. And our expertise is in responding to disaster management and long-term development projects. In this situation, because the floods have struck here in the UK, I think initially the community didn't realize the extent of the floods. I think we all kind of sat back thinking, okay, it's all part and parcel of life in the UK, and it will get dealt with, and by tomorrow everything will be back to normal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, and things were getting worse. That's when we decided, we looked at the news, the reports, and we thought, you know what, it's actually quite bad, and we have to do something about it.
Yeah.
So our Board of Trustees have had a meeting, an emergency meeting, where they've decided, okay, we're going to allocate funds to help the victims of the floods. We have a big database of volunteers around the country who are ready to be mobilized, and that's when we've decided to send out a team of emergency aid workers to go and do a needs assessment and to see what we can do to help these people and how we can help out in the floods.
Wonderful. So wonderful to hear that, the Muslim organisation so, organised, assessments and all of that, mashallah. So when you got out there, I mean, on the news it seemed like, the army were out there, and, how did they respond to you? I mean, was there a particular group that welcomed you in and said, hey, this is where you can help?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, our the first thing obviously we didn't want to go in the middle of nowhere and have a look at the floods and then decide we were going to take on the floods by ourselves. I mean, that's just not realistic. So what we've done is we've gone to the local rescue centre, and the rescue centre was being managed by the local council. There was the local police force. There was also the Salvation Army and the social services, amongst many other entities there. And everyone was there coordinating the efforts from a church.
Yeah.
So, believe it or not, we do work with churches as well.
Yeah, mashallah, it has to be done sometimes, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they were doing a lot of great work from there. I believe it's 150 households were being supported by that church. They were distributing things like canned food, warm clothing, wellies, you name it, they had it there.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting with them. They were very, very pleased that Muslim Aid, especially because of our brand, it's quite obvious that we're a Muslim organization.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a misconception out there in the mainstream that Muslim Aid is a Muslim organization for Muslims only. And hence, they were quite pleased to see that we are there and we're offering our support and we are offering our expertise to do what we can to help.
Which is exactly what got me thinking about it in the first place. Is, we're Muslim, it's just like somebody who's got a fragrance on them, that fragrance should be smelt from a distance, and it should go wherever we go,
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is why in Islam the organization is run by the principles of our religion, and in our religion it stipulates that when there is a disaster, when there is need, you go out and help people without looking at their religion, race, or culture.
Yeah.
And this is why this charity was set up in 1985 to do exactly that, to help our people. We don't look at who belongs to what religion and what do you follow. For us, if you're in a disaster zone, if you need help, we're out there. I think this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ would have done.
Absolutely.
And we are just doing our duty as aid workers.
Yeah. And this is it. I mean, dawah is an invitation, you know. We have to beautify the invitations. And I think, you know, everyone's on a journey. I don't know about you, but for me, you know, I'm not a revert, but, you know, I kind of embarked upon Islam. It was fresh. And the people did play a part in how, you know, I looked at Islam very differently, that is. And, you know, like you said, there are misconceptions out there. And we have to, you know, not go out of our way to challenge the misconceptions, because you'll be there forever.
Yeah, of course.
The misconceptions will continue.
Yeah, I mean, in Britain we have our fair share of criticism from the mainstream media. And,
yeah.
You know, unfortunately, because of the actions of a few, we all get the brunt of negative PR.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that really struck to me is visiting a beneficiary. I don't know if you've seen the BBC interview that we've done, and the beneficiary that we visited in that interview, the house that was flooded, she was, you know, surprised to see us there.
Yeah.
I went and I asked her if everything was okay, if there's anything we can do to help.
Yeah.
And of course, I introduced who I was, where I came from, and what our purpose of being there.
Mm.
And initially, she seemed a bit hesitant, and I thought, oh God, you know, maybe she's not very comfortable with us. But something she said towards the end that really struck us.
Yeah.
And she said, "Look, I'm not a follower of religion. I don't follow any religion, but I believe in the power of prayers. So one request I have is if you guys can remember us in your prayers."
Yeah.
And that really struck me, because
SubhanAllah, yeah.
even though this person, she doesn't believe in religion, but here we are, Muslim Aid, and she appreciates that these guys are Muslims and they're here to help.
Yeah.
So she's asked us to pray for her.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is an amazing achievement for us Muslims, and I think it's quite important that we go out there and to show that we are there to help, and it's one community, we're all citizens of the same country, and it's our duty to help each other when the need comes.
Absolutely. So, where are we at then? I mean, what was achieved?
Well, we are in the process of sending putting together a cleanup team at the moment. We are obviously looking at all options, and it's not as straightforward a case, because of course this is not a country who is economically starving.
Yeah.
It's a country where insurance companies are doing their best to help the people. The government is pledging money to help people. So, of course, we don't want to do the government's job or the insurance company's job. Yet, we believe there is scope to help people on a voluntary capacity. There is scope to help people in the cleanup operations.
Yeah.
I think one of our findings from the initial assessment was that we couldn't do much to help once the flooding has started.
Right.
Because once the homes were flooded, there's nothing anyone could have done except take them to a safe rest house and ensuring that they have food and clothing to support themselves. Apart from that, there wasn't much anyone could have done for them. The main work starts after the floods have subsided and the cleanup operation starts, because you can imagine the extent of damage this flood has done. There are hundreds and thousands of households that will be going back to their homes, finding either nothing or having to build from scratch again. And this is where we come in, and this is where we will need as many volunteers as possible to go out to Somerset, to go out to Staines and help out in the cleanup operation. I think this is where our community will come into great use, because I know in our community we've got expertise in so many different areas, and if we can get everyone together and go out there and help out these people, it will be a great show of unity in the community.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan, definitely, mashallah. So if anybody wants to know more about Muslim Aid, do you have a website?
Absolutely, our website is www.muslimaid.org. You can also give us a call. It's 0207 377 4200. We also have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/MuslimAid. You can keep in touch with us. Funny enough, throughout the floods, we have been updating all our followers through Facebook.
Okay.
So it's a great tool to have, Twitter and Facebook, and please do join us, and please, it's an invitation to everyone to come and join us and volunteer, and we are looking for volunteers from around the country.
Absolutely, and yeah, like I said, it's needed. You know, sometimes we're very comfortable, and sometimes I think that's why I feel a little bit more for these people, because, you know, you can't anticipate the kind of trauma that they're dealing with. You know, we're living our everyday lives, and, you know, we don't expect these kind of disasters, but it's real, you know, and subhanAllah, I felt the winds down here in Birmingham, you know, in my car, and it was rocking from side to side. I thought, oh my gosh, you know, subhanAllah. So
yeah, absolutely, Shalina. I mean, disaster is such a thing. It doesn't come with a warning. Disaster strikes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it to strike. And it can strike any community, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
We're used to seeing disasters in countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia. These are places that get regularly affected by disasters. But who's to know that tomorrow a disaster is not going to, struck our homes?
Absolutely.
Who's to know that, if disaster was to struck our towns, Birmingham, London, and so forth, I pray that it doesn't. But if it does, I'm sure we'll be looking around, asking for people to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Jazakallah khair, and all the best, and please keep us posted about any developments, inshallah.
Of course, it's a pleasure, Sister Shalina.
Okay, thank you so much, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.